Dr. Aditya, a psychologist from NIMHANS. All the doctors can move on to the stage because the panel is going to be proceeding after this. Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Darshan, a cardiologist from NIMHANS. And Dr. Nagesh, founder and director of the Institute of Gastroenterology, Sciences and Organ Transplant. These are going to be our 5 esteemed panelists for today's session. Thanks a lot, Mr. Naveen, and thanks a lot, Mr. Panikar, for joining us on stage and welcoming these panelists. So now that the panelists are on the stage, let's talk about what's the topic for today's discussion. Let's talk about what the panel's theme is. It's the modern health paradox. Imagine a world where diseases that once wiped out civilizations, smallpox, tuberculosis, even polio are now virtually eradicated. A world where a simple scan can detect a tumor in the earliest stages and a pill can extend life by decades. That world is today. We stand at the pinnacle of medical advancement. Yet paradoxically, we are facing a crisis of health like never before. So I ask you, are we truly healthier or are we just living longer in a state of managed illnesses? The modern health paradox encapsulates a profound contradiction. While advancements in medicine, technology, and public health have dramatically increased life expectancy and reduced mortality rates, they have simultaneously given rise to a new spectrum of chronic illnesses, lifestyle-related disease, and mental health crises. This paradox is emblematic of an era where scientific breakthroughs in healthcare coexist with unprecedented health challenges, many of which stem from the very progress intended to improve well-being. At the heart of this paradox lies the tension between rapid medical innovation and the unforeseen consequences of modern lifestyle and modern living. The rise of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and neurodegenerative disorders, often attributed to sedentary lifestyles, processed diets, and environmental changes, illustrates how industrialization and globalization have reshaped the disease burden. Understanding the modern health paradox, our theme for today's panel, is not merely an academic exercise. It is a critical lens through which we must evaluate contemporary healthcare policies, biomedical research, as well as global health strategies. Addressing this paradox requires a multidisciplinary approach, integrating medicine, public health, and technology to balance innovation along with sustainability. The challenge of the 21st century is not just to extend life, but it's to enhance life's quality, ensuring that progress does not inadvertently exacerbate the very health issues it seeks to resolve. So what's the format for our panel today? We're going to be having 4 main topics. Medicine as a future career, since I'm assuming a lot of you are interested in medicine, public health, healthcare, so this is made just for you. Number 2, changing paradigms in healthcare with AI. Number 3, mental health of teenagers. And number 4, lifestyle diseases amongst teenagers. So I'd like to start off with our section 1. Medicine has long been regarded as a prestigious but demanding career path. With technological advancements, ethical dilemmas, and an increasing global health challenge, the role of a doctor is evolving. Let's begin by addressing the future of medicine as a career. My first question: the medical profession is evolving with AI, biotechnology, and telemedicine. How should aspiring doctors prepare for this shift?
Good morning to everybody, and thank you to the organizers for inviting us to this program. Coming to the question that you asked, first of all, I think most of the students or most of the youngsters nowadays already are up to the mark in a lot of issues in trying to understand technical aspects or the digital aspects or the AI for that matter. So they have a knowledge about it. It's not a generational gap for them, probably like how it was for us. It is not a quantum jump for them, and it is going to be probably easier for you people to understand how it works. And once you know how it works, then the interest towards combining the newer technologies with healthcare will always come into picture. And the fact that it can be used to simplify healthcare approaches, keeping in mind that patient is the main person for all of us. Disease is something that we need to treat, but patient is somebody whom we need to heal. So we need to keep that in mind, and with the help of the technology, which probably the youngsters can easily understand, it's easier for them to combine the two and take it up as a career forward. So to look at AI or the digital technology and include them with the healthcare approach for the treatment of the patient is probably a little more easier for the aspiring youngsters and those who want to get into the medical field. It is probably interesting to them as well, and not what is considered as generally a boring topic or a very hard subject to deal with. Inclusion of these newer technologies is definitely going to make it easier for them and probably more interesting for them. That is one aspect of it. Second aspect is always the satisfaction of trying to listen to a patient and heal the patient or treat the patient or whatever you can call it, and get a feedback from them and actually feel good that you helped them out. So helping them out with your own knowledge and with the help of the technology. And this is where the satisfaction comes for the person as an individual. And with the help of the newer technologies, which most of you are probably better in understanding them, you can always move forward and take it as a career.
Thanks a lot, Doctor. Now we're going to get a comment from Dr. Aditya.
Hi everyone, good morning. It's a bit early for some of you, I think. Hope you can hear me. So also, just a minor correction, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a neuropsychiatrist. I went to 15 years of training to be this. But anyway, here's what I was going to say to you guys, which is that I think the AI stuff is arriving and it's going to advance medicine and medical healthcare. So I actually think if you're going to choose medicine, you're actually going to choose a much more technologically heavy field than we chose when we trained. So what we're doing is we're not tech natives. We are learning about technology as we go along to improve the care of our patients. But I suspect by the time you enter medicine, there's already going to be a lot of technology in the way you're taught, but also in the way that you're expected to treat your patients. So I don't think it'll be a big shift. Now, I agree with my colleague that there is not, I think it's going to be incremental for you, and for you it will not be as big a jump as it could have been. So I think it's going to be an exciting, interesting time ahead. And what I'm interested to know is whether it will help or hinder healthcare. Because some of healthcare remains very old-fashioned, your connection with the person that you're trying to help. And what we're trying to figure out is, how does technology help us connect, but how do we remove the barrier between that the technology can sometimes become between us and the patient that we're trying to help. So I think it's going to be really exciting, and I'm very optimistic that you guys will make it work. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, Doctor, for the misconception. I understand how many years of training it took for this.
There's a difference between the term Verushka and Veruca, if you want to look it up.
Yeah. So our next question is, medical training is notoriously long and demanding, of course, as Dr. Aditya himself mentioned again. Given the rise of alternative careers in biotechnology, AI-driven diagnostics, and health informatics, is traditional medicine still a career worth considering? This question is directed to Dr. Ravi.
A very good morning to everyone. Well, when we are excited to be amongst you all, as you all are, to see fresh faces who are interested in medicine in this beautiful school auditorium. Well, first of all, one clarification is that we are basically talking about traditional medicine and the modern medicine. When we talk about traditional medicine, we usually think of what was Ayurveda, the Siddha medicine, that. So here we are talking mainly about the modern medicine. So modern medicine is allopathic medicine, is what all we have heard of. This traditional medicine dates back to years, ancestors where even Charaka, Shushruta all used to practice. So we are practicing the allopathic medicine. So the first question is it still worth pursuing? The answer is yes, given the demanding, the long, and of course the time which have been spent. See, basically, medicine, as we all have done, it's divided into almost a 5.5 years course after your +2, that is your PU or your +2, which you take up. You enter into your medical career. Why it is long? Of course, it has to be long because in that 5.5 years, which is there, it's been divided into various departments, starting from anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. We have 19 subjects in our undergraduate. What is MBBS, Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery we do in our country has got 19 subjects. So once to become a graduate of this MBBS, you have to pass through these 19 subjects in different phases. It's divided into phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and 9 semesters. Earlier it was 9 semesters, now it's divided into phase and parts as per the new curriculum. So when a candidate or a student enters his medical school, basically he starts off with the basics of medicine. Now I see even in our own children textbooks, there is a lot of biology, which you all are learning what we teach in medicine. So when a candidate enters, he cannot directly go on into how to treat a patient. So it comes with the basics of the anatomy, how the human body works, what are the normal structures that are there. You have to know the normal anatomy before going into how it works. So then it's divided into physiology, how each organ for the heart or the kidney or the lungs or the gastrointestinal system functions. So the anatomy, the physiology, and it is related to various investigation biochemistry. Then the next part comes, you have the pathology, microbiology, your forensic medicine, which is all different. And finally it comes to your clinical subjects where medicine, surgery, obstetrics, gynecology. So medicine is a part which you will have to know each and everything. Later, after finishing your MBBS, this 4.5 years of your training in school, plus 1 year of internship, where you work virtually with a patient in different groups. It takes 5.5 years. So I'm just a basic undergraduate after this 4 years. After that, you have a post-graduation, which like we have done MD in medicine, MD in surgery, MD in psychiatry. Then again after that, you still narrow down to various organs. You have Dr. Nagesh, who's narrowed down into a gastroenterologist, who have got Dr. Cardiologist into the heart. So of course, it's a long process to understand everything and specialize in one particular. And it is demanding. Definitely I agree, it is long and demanding. At the end of it, is it worth? The answer is yes, definitely. Because you are comparing here with the AI, the biotechnology. AI, biotechnology are totally working with their engineering courses. Of course, AI, biotechnology are going to integrate. They are going to help our careers, doctors, definitely. And they are totally different fields. AI might definitely help me in treating my patients, in keeping my data of my patients. So definitely the careers are totally different. It looks more like an AI is an engineering this one, but it's going to augment my career also definitely. Biotechnology, of course, there are various courses, subspecialties in biotechnology. In medical profession, there are a lot of instruments, echocardiography and endoscopy, which are all developed by these biotechnologies. So that is what we need them. They are all specialists. So ultimately the answer is it worth it? Yes. The reason, I am dealing with human beings. You get that satisfaction. Whenever you are treating with a human being, a patient comes to me, he is sick. His attendants come to me, he is sick. They say, when you see an unconscious patient, you do something to him, magic, he stands up, he goes back walking, you get that satisfaction. Yes, it is worth pursuing.
Yes, doctor. Thanks a lot for your answer. Beautifully framed, I must say. The next thing which we will be having is a comment from Dr. Nagesh on the same question.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of young friends in the School of Business. I think Dr. Ravi has spoken empathetic and, from a human perspective. We have at least 8 billion people in this world. And at the end of the day, all of them need medicine, all of them need healthcare. Whereas 10% of them need AI, 20% of them need energy, things like that. But all of them need food and healthcare. So this is one profession which is going to stay forever as long as humans live on the earth. Of course, yes, to begin your career, your friends will be earning at 23 and going to pubs and discotheques, whereas you would be struggling with books. Every profession, every subject, you'll have to read so many subjects. It's not that only medicine will have 19 subjects. The difference between engineering and medicine is, here you have been trained, there you innovate and you work on innovations and you have to think. Here you have to use your common sense and you have been trained. That difference you should know, number one. Number two, career starts late, but it goes on forever. If you're a good doctor, you can work till you die and you can earn till you die. At the end of the day, at the age of 70 or 60, if you look at, you're richer than many of the other professionals. So, any profession should not be chosen based on the economics of money. If you're loving it, yes, this is the best profession. Everything is longer. You're going to live for 60, 70, 80, 100 years. You have to do something. So I think if you're interested, medicine is the best. As Dr. Ravi mentioned, AI and everything are only the extra armamentariums to make your life easier. I think they're not going to change. They can't work independent of you. So if you have inclination towards medicine, yes, this is the career to choose. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, doctor. The next question is directed once again to Dr. Aditya. The concept of a doctor is changing. Beyond clinical practice, what emerging roles in medicine should students consider?
Could you repeat the question? Because I think you changed the questions. What emerging?
I'll direct this to Dr. Nagesh.
Thank you.
The concept of a doctor is changing. Beyond clinical practice, what emerging roles in medicine should a student consider?
It's a tough question. It depends on what you're here for. And I think we'll maybe go through this again and again, but what do you enter medicine for? And I worry that in a country like India, where part of why we do postgraduate education or undergraduate education is economic mobility, that some people choose medicine because they think it's a good place, good way to make a living. It is. There are far easier ways to make a living. And I would urge you, those of you who want to be doctors, that perhaps you're driven by your interest in the science, in the technology, but also in your ability to help people. I think being a doctor allows you to help people, but I train a lot of mental health professionals, and I keep saying to them, actually, you can equally maybe help even more people by being a teacher. So some of us who are doctors are also teachers, and I think I've come to respect all the teachers I've ever had. So how do you prepare? I think by trying to figure out why you're going to medicine, I want us to feel less pressure at the outset. If you want to do medicine, do medicine. You'll have to work your butt off. But actually, the work is fun, it's interesting, it teaches you enormous things. For example, I can tell you the name of the artery that supplies the biggest nerve in my leg. It's called arteria comitatis sischiatici. Did you know that there were arteries in your legs that supply nerves? Did you know that one of them has a name? That's the kind of stuff that you get. And for geeks like me, it's really interesting. But if you want to be famous, medicine is not a good place to be, because that's not what you should go into medicine for. So how do you prepare? You prepare by trying to understand what actually matters to you. And when you're in school, when you study biology, does that stuff really light your fire? I don't want you to focus on what am I going to do in the future, how much money am I going to have, do I care about people, do I want to help them? That's how you prepare. The technology is going to come. That's kind of second nature. I don't want you to sit there and learn extra coding just because you're going to medicine. It'll figure this out.
Thanks a lot to Dr. Aditya for that answer. The next question is directed to Dr. Lalita. Medical education is often criticized for emphasizing note memorization over problem solving. How should medical training be restructured to better prepare future doctors?
Thank you, Vanushka. Good morning to one and all. I think for this question, I think the National Medical Council, our medical education in India is governed by National Medical Council, and they're already at it. And now, to answer the previous question, just to add a point, what is the care beyond just here? It's not just about treating patients. That is one of the very critical thing. And as I say, why you should become a doctor? I think no other profession will provide you that opportunity of somebody human being to touching you, right? This is a profession which will allow us trust the doctors and allow us to touch. That is something which is separate, different, and people just trust and come to us, and they come with the belief that we are going to heal. I think that is something phenomenal which we are all motivated to be in this professional field. And now to answer your question, well, to be on the global level, the National Medical Council has restructured our curriculum itself. Now it's competency-based curriculum what we are structured, and we are not just looking at a clinician. As an undergraduate who is coming out after 5 years, we expect them to become not only a clinician, he has to be a continuous learner. Medical profession demands that because there is constant scientific advancement which is happening, and he has to be a team player. He alone cannot work. He has to be a team player, a manager, and a continuous researcher. With that objective, the structure has changed, and the entire curriculum now has completely changed. It's just not this thing. They start to bring in the concept of understanding everything. They have brought in the early clinical exposure, added to the learning of the students, even from the first year itself. For us, it was anatomy, physiology, biochemistry in the first year. But now, along with that, the students are exposed to the clinical, so they're trying to integrate the learning with what they are learning in the first and second years, along with the clinical and relating. So what I could say is the structuring has happened. Again, even the one education policy also in the country is looking at integrating the education, and that's where now we are bringing in your AI, biotechnology, which is complementing our understanding of medicine better. Finally, what we are looking at is to improve quality care to the patients. So medicine is just not science, and we must remember it's arts also. Now it's complemented with our engineering efforts of our biotechnology, AI. So these are some of the things which needs to be added on also. Of course, now I told, as I told, competency-based curriculum has brought in a lot of changes to address these issues, to restructure and look at. And in fact, they have come up with AdCom modules integrated in our curriculum, where our students are, before we used to see our teachers and learn certain attitude, ethics, communication. These are now taught in our schools, because these are very integral part of treating physician, because we are dealing with human lives and their emotions. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Doctor, for that wonderful answer. Now we'd like to call upon Dr. Ravi to comment on that same question.
Yeah, I think Dr. Lalita has put up everything. We need to train our future doctors in a better way. That is what is. We are already in the right path. As she already told, the apex body governing this medical education is called as the National Medical Council. This National Medical Council gives various regulations. What we learned during our MBBS days was different. In the sense, the pattern was different. The same thing which we are learning now is all organized. What she told in the first year itself, we have certain things, and we have the skill development. We have various skill labs in each medical college. It was not there earlier. We have simulation labs. You have a virtual simulation, for you want to learn a particular surgery. Earlier you had to wait for an opportunity to operate upon that individual. You want to do an endoscopy, you had to do it on a patient. It's not like that nowadays. If there are simulation labs, there are skill labs where each medical college is got. You get a virtual scenario to do an endoscopy, to do a surgery, to do a laparoscopic surgery, to conduct deliveries. Everything is there. So it's a lot of advancement has taken place. There are a lot of regulations which have been put up, and we have to follow that. And there are strict guidelines. The students will undergo all those things in a phased manner in phase 1, phase 2. Earlier we never used to learn about this attitude. Medicine is not just about treating the patient. It's the attitude with which I go to the patient. The ethics is very, very important in medicine. Keeping the personal data. I just cannot disclose this disease to someone else. So all those things have to be taught to me. So we teach about ethics also nowadays, which is part of the curriculum which NMC has inculcated.